I'd like us to move on very quickly as we take a look at politics, because this is the election year. Of course, that has been happening towards the end of 2014. We've seen some states holding elections, but we're having the general elections in other states holding their own gubernatorial elections for 2015. How do you think these can be impacted upon by the economy? What impact would this have on the economy, vice versa?
Okay. Bill Clinton in 1992 came up, there's a guy called James Carville, campaign manager, and came up with a phrase, popular phrase, which is used up to today. It's called, "It's the economy, stupid." George Bush Sr. was talking about how he attacked Kuwait, how he did this and all that. And Clinton said, look, man, forget it. It's the economy, stupid. That's all people want to know about. Therefore, economic outcomes will determine political, economic decisions will determine political outcomes. From what we see and what we've studied, there'll be three major races that will be determined by economics in this election. The federal election, right, which is the presidential election. The president is going to come and say, this is my manifesto, this is my track record, this is my referendum, this is what I've done, I've been able to achieve this, that, and the other. The APC is going to come and say, no, you didn't do it right, you did this right, you did this wrong, and all that. You created this, and you created that, and all that. So the debate will be on, and that will determine exactly where it is. No other election is going to be, in the history of this country, will be determined by economic outcomes more than this election. But if coming down to where it's going to be specific, there are two races that are very interesting. One is in Lagos State, where Mr. Ambode, I think, is going to be talking. Ambode is going to be talking about how he's going to be doing certain things and how he's going to run on the track record of Babatunde Fashola, who has done remarkably well in this thing. And Mr. Agbaje is going to come and say, look, we need a change. We need to do this. How can I improve on a success story? While one will say, I want to keep the success story going. So Lagos State is going to be very interesting because it is the fifth largest economy in Africa. If Lagos State was a country, it would be the fifth largest economy in Africa. It's bigger than Kenya, it's bigger than Senegal, it's bigger than Ivory Coast. So that's a major political issue. Then River State is very interesting. Here we have somebody, a former minister who is running, saying that I'll use federal might to make River State. That is his. Then you have Kuku Peterside, who has made it clear that I want to make River State the largest economy in Nigeria. I'm going to make it, it has the highest IGR ratio. It has the highest persistence ratio in education. And he has put a lot of infrastructure, running on sustainability and continuity. 4 pillars of productivity, infrastructure, investment, and capital formation. So his mandate on his website is very clear as to what he wants to do. So the River State people are going to say, look, the PDP says, are we going to bring federal might? We're going to bring federal collaboration and federal revenues in addition to the River State revenue to make River State a champion. The Kuku Peterside is going to say, look, this River State administration has gone to 2 downturns in oil prices. One, when the oil price went down in 2008 and 2009, they came out on top. Now again, they came back and they kept 1 billion naira every month for so many months. So they had a buffer. They created a buffer. So it's going to run on that record, and therefore, the Rivers people are a very sophisticated electorate, and they're going to be able to determine which is better for their future. So that's going to happen. So 3 races to watch where economic decisions will determine the political outcome. One, at the federal and presidential level. So it's not enough to say, I'm going to wipe out corruption. The APCs were going to wipe out. How are you going to wipe out corruption? How are you going to use the wiping out of corruption to improve the economic lot of the people? So there has to be a clearly articulated APC economic program, and it will be debated. The federal government will have to show how their record and how the things that have happened that are negative, they are going to improve upon it, and how they're going to make this economy competitive in the future. That's at the federal level. At the state level, in Lagos State, the 5th largest economy in Africa, it's going to be a very well debated and articulated race. River State, an oil producing state, which has 70,000 barrels for every 1 million people. Nigeria's ratio is 12,000 barrels for 1 million people. River State has 70,000 barrels for 1 million people, which means that if it was a country, River State is subsidizing the federal government of Nigeria to the tune of 55,000 barrels a day.
Are there other states in Nigeria who could also stand tall and say, okay, in this year we will work on our economy, we can stand on our own?
All states in this country are important, but I just told you that 11 states cannot pay salary. So there are states and there are states, right? And the thing about them is that 100 fools cannot make a wise decision. So if you multiply 0 by 1,000 times, it is 0, right? So small states will have to become big to become. Now, so we've taken the big economies, and that's. Now,
and this brings me to the state that to the issue of be independent as a state. What do you think the state should be doing this year? Because, like we said, oil prices are dwindling. Many of them rely on federal allocation to take care of their expenditures and other issues. What should they be doing in this year? Because experts have believed, many people have believed that during the election years, the economy is usually put on hold. And we all focus on the election, who win which position.
See, when economic variables are within your control, you can do all of that. The things that are driving the Nigerian economy today are outside the Nigerian economy, outside our control. We have no control on oil prices. We are too small in the macroeconomic picture of the world to be of any relevance. So we are takers, we are not leaders. Whatever we get, we take. And we have to manage our own resources. So states are now, first and foremost, to accept that they are not rich states. Many of the states are not viable. In the first place, they shouldn't have been created. Right? So now that you've created yourself and one state has 100 special assistants, 50 palm sex, all that nonsense has to stop. You have to trim your state to reach your resources. You have to cut your coat according to your cloth. California is the 7th largest economy in the world. Californian economy is twice the size of the economy of Russia. California has 5% of the world's universities in California, right? And that's one state. But the total number of public in California are not up to 1/100th the total public officials in Nigeria. A Nigerian senator earns more than the president of the United States, an economy with a $17 trillion GDP. Our GDP is $500 billion. That is $510 billion. And a senator one out of the 95 earns more than the president of the United States that has an economy of $17 trillion. So you see, productivity in the public sector has to be compared to productivity across the world.
Let's take a look at the budget, and our time is running out, and there are still lots that we can talk about. Yes, before we get into the stock market, I'd like us to look at the budget, because one of the stories that made around before the end of 2014 was that the budget deadline for the execution of the budget for 2014 was extended by 3 months. What's your take about this extension? Putting that in view of the fact that the 2015 budget is still on the table.
Well, typically, budgets are approved for a year between the fiscal January to December. It's almost impossible to get your budget approved before the year starts. So the rule of the thumb is that you allow spending up to 50% of what you spent in the previous year in the first 3 months, so that for January to March 2015, ministries, departments and agencies can spend up to what they spent in 2014 to allow the National Assembly to address the issues and approve the appropriation bill. But don't forget, we have elections February. So National Assembly, what time will they have to deliberate on this budget? My sense is that the budget is going to be approved, rushed, and then after the elections and after the swearing in, May 29, there'll be a new cabinet, new administration, or the same administration continuing, and then they will have to pass a supplementary budget based on the facts that will be post-election Nigeria in the second half of 2015.
Okay. Now to the capital markets. It's been regarded as one of the worst performers globally. What's your view happened, and how do you think this can be changed in the new year?
Well, there was a year of flatline. The first half of the year was flatlining. Then we had volatility. Then we had a slight recovery at the end. What you are going to see in 2015 is that from Monday, the market starts to go down. They will go down for the first quarter because of uncertainty and election and all of that. But then it goes down and creates great opportunities. People start to buy into the market, say in March, April, after all the uncertainty is settled. So I think you'll see some, maybe another 5 to 10% correction. Again, from where we are, it will go much lower. And then you have a sharp recovery in the second half of the year. We think that even though we would see the stock market go as high as almost 40,000 in December 2015. Besides, we think that the exchange rate at that time would have got to the point where it becomes attractive for people to come back into Nigeria. So if the official rate is actually at 85 to 190 in December, and the parallel market is at about 205 in December, which I think it will be, then you will see a lot of people coming in. So if I had $100 and I can get 20,500 from $100 as against 10,000, then it begins to look very attractive to bring my money in, and that will chase equity positions. But what the companies that will make money, because there's what we call the winners and losers, the companies that will make money in 2015 are those that are, that are not import dependent, that are not over borrowed, that are competitive, and that have scales of economy. So you will see sectors like cement manufacturing are going to do very well. Aviation is going to do well because the price of fuel is going to come down. Insurance is going to do well. Downstream oil and gas will do well because subsidies are going to be academic. Subsidies will be removed anyway. Soft drinks and beverages will do well. Real estate will suffer. Automotive policy. Manufacturing, if you're in the fast-moving consumer good area, you will be able to pass on the goods, the prices to your consumer. But I can tell you something, that there will be a wage review. In all of this, the minimum wage and other things will be adjusted upwards. Once you have this devaluation, it's followed by some inflation, followed by wage reviews, and then the economy begins to expand at the bottom.
I want to link all of this to the spending during the election year. What impact would that have on the election?
Election is only 45 days away from now. So if what you have not spent in between 2011 and now, how much are you going to spend in 45 days? The primaries are over, there are no more. So the electoral colleges,
the spending has actually been going on.
It's been going on, but it has not trickled down. So political democracy has not become economic. It has not become economic democracy. People have to spend and they have to feel it. That is why the citizens are going to be making decisions based on probably purely economic. Are you better off now than you were in 2011? Are you worse off? And if you are worse off, what's the future? What does the future hold? Those will be the decisions people are going to make. Okay.
One last word from you before we wrap up. Bismarck, the outlook for 2015 in general. How do you, wrap the whole thing up?
Okay, 2015.
The direction. Are we going to recover from all of this challenges?
You will. See, economic issues are cyclical. In 1999, the price of oil was $10. Before then, it had been $3 a barrel. It went all the way up to 140. Came to last year was peak at 116. So what goes down will come up, and what goes up will come down. The first 3 months of 2015 is going to be election. After that, there's going to be lame duck session between after election and when the swearing in will take place on May 29. After that, the real work begins, and then the recovery begins. So in the end, tough times ahead. Nigerians are going to have to work harder, but the pain comes before the gain. But more than anything else, at the end of the year and early 2016, Nigeria is going to be stronger, steadier, and smarter, the 3 S's we call it.
Okay. At this point, I have to just say thank you so much, Bismarck, for coming. It's been an incisive and interesting conversation with you and the economy, and I want to wish you a very happy new year once again. Happy
New Year to all our viewers.
Bismarck Rewane, CEO, Financial Derivatives Company Limited, is also an economist. That'll be all here on Business Morning. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate it. Do have a wonderful day ahead. Bolaji Akinwale.